Dhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, chapter 25. No, it does. I'm sorry, chapter 28, text 1. We finished the text 1, right? Yeah. So we'll do the text 2. Yeah, that's right. Text 2. And let me see. Okay. Swadharmacharanam shaktya vidharmacha nivartanam deval labdena santosha atmavicharan charanam charanam. Charana archanam. Charana archanam. Okay. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves by the grace of the Lord, and one should worship the lotus feet of a spiritual master. In this verse, there are many important words which could be very elaborately explained, but we shall briefly discuss the important aspects of each. The final statement is Atmavik Charanar Charan Archana. Yeah, Atmavik Charan Archanam. Atmavit means a self-realized soul or bona fide spiritual master. Unless one is self-realized and knows what his relationship with the super soul is, he cannot be a bona fide spiritual master. Here it is recommended that one should seek out a bona fide spiritual master and surrender unto him, Archanam. For by inquiring from him and worshipping him, one can learn spiritual activities. So Prabhupada is pointing out that Atmavit means one who is liberated. He is a self-realized soul, or he is a bona fide spiritual master. So self-realization means, what does self-realization means? That one knows what his relationship with the super soul is. And until and unless one is in that position, he is not a bona fide spiritual master. And so we are advised to search out such a bona fide spiritual master, that who has understood his relationship with the super soul. Unless one is self-realized and knows what his relationship with the super soul is, he cannot be a bona fide spiritual master. And we should search out such a bona fide spiritual master, surrender unto him, put inquiries to him. We have a lot of doubts. We should inquire from such a spiritual master and worship him, and thereby learn the science of devotional service. The first recommendation is Swadharma Charana. Swadharma Acharanam. As long as we have this material body, there are various duties prescribed for us. Such duties are divided by a system of 4 social orders: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These particular duties are mentioned in the Shastra and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. So the Varna Sharma system, depends on what Varna and Ashram, then there are particular duties for that. And so as long as we are in the material duty, we have to follow. As long as we are in the material body, we have to follow the duties which are there. So Swadharma charanam means that one must discharge the prescribed duties of his particular division of society faithfully and to the best of his ability. One should not accept another's duty. If one is born in a particular society or community, he should perform the prescribed duties for that particular division. If, however, one is fortunate enough to transcend the designation of birth in a particular society or community by being elevated to the standard of spiritual identity, then his swadharma or duty is solely that of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we each of us, we are in different, we have different duties, you know. So then what is being recommended is that we need to do our duty. As long as we are in the material body, we have to do our duty. But one who has understood his relationship with the super soul, with the Supreme Lord, once he's understood, I am a spirit soul, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, then his swadharma is that of serving the Supreme Lord. The actual duty of one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness is to serve the Lord. As long as one remains in the bodily concept of life, he may act according to the duties of social convention. But if one is elevated to the spiritual platform, he must simply serve the Supreme Lord. That is the real execution of Swadharma. So when one is liberated, means what one has to do, has to engage in the service of the Lord. Why? Because that is Swadharma. That is the actual occupation. That is a duty of every living entity to engage in devotional service to the Lord. So we can see that means bhakti is the swadharma of every living entity. Of every living entity. So what happens when one comes to the point of liberation? Then he engages in serving the Supreme Lord. And then, so then such a pure devotee, he has no material obligations. He has no material obligations because he's beyond his body. He's understood he's not the body. He's understood he's the soul. And his only duty is to engage in loving service to the Supreme Lord. Is that okay?
Yeah, so it means that then he can give up his prescribed duties.
That's
the material, right?
That's
Material.
right. So because Krishna, even in Bhagavad Gita, says that we should not prematurely give up our material duties. That's the reason Krishna tells to Arjuna also that, now I'm telling you to fight and you're saying, no, I'm not going to fight. But by being bound by the modes of nature, you are going to act anyways. So what happens is, because we are bound by the modes of nature, we are not yet liberated. And so the modes will make us act. And so Krishna is saying, oh, you do your duty. Otherwise, we'll become a nuisance to society. So he says, you do your duty, but you give the result to me. You fix your mind on me, and then you do your duty. That's what he says. So then, gradually, we can come out of the modes. We can come out of the modes gradually. So what is recommended for us? Wherever we are, that's what Lord Caitanya said. Wherever we are, we stay in that position. We continue to hear and chant. And then gradually, the modes will slacken their hold on us. Is that okay? So what would happen if someone wants to give up the home and pursue the Krishna consciousness or join the Krishna consciousness movement? It says, I don't want to do it. I don't want to have, I mean, I don't want to have a material duty. I'm going to just engage myself in Krishna service. I'm going to go join the ashram. So then, the authorities need to talk to him, see if he's really, if he's really on that platform, or if he's doing it for some other material motive, because if we do that, give up our duties for a material motive, then because the modes are still there, very strong, so they will catch us. But if someone is like really that, no, this is what I'm gonna do, and I've thought over it, and I do not have any pending duties, then they should take it up wholeheartedly.
So it depends on how serious the person is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, depends on
Hello?
each person's level of Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, are you able to
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, now we can. So it depends on how serious the person is, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, how serious a person is. That's right. And also then, but if somebody has a wife and he says, I'm going to go leave my wife and go join the ashram, but is there proper arrangement for the wife then? Because one cannot act just whimsically, or is there someone to take care of the wife? And yes, then he can be allowed to join the sannyas ashram.
Like how they have the Varna ashram, no? That 4 stages.
Yes.
So like
So
after the age of 50, the
yes.
husband can leave, right? But
Well, the vanapras,
it depends. Yeah, Vanaprastha
the husband does not need to leave the wife.
does not leave.
They can still be together, but they have made up their mind that now no more material activities, and we are going to dedicate more to spiritual activities. That is the goal for vanapras. They can be together, but they will not live together as they have like now decided, okay, no more material activities now, and they'll really take up very seriously to cultivate the spiritual knowledge, to engage in devotional service. Yeah, so the idea is not to do whimsically anything, because we may artificially renounce our duties, but because we are very bound by the modes of nature, then we will continue to act in that way, somehow or the other we will act in that way then. So that's why Krishna says, rather you do your duty, and at the same time you hear and chant. And then when one is liberated, when one has become a pure devotee, then his only duty is to serve the Lord. He's anyway not in the body platform anymore. His consciousness is already Krishna conscious. Is that okay?
Yes.
Gramya dharma nivrittischa moksha dharma ratistatha mita medhyadanam shaswad vivikta shema sevanam. One should cease performing conventional religious practices and should be attracted to those which lead to salvation. One should eat very frugally and should always remain secluded so that he can achieve the highest perfection of life. It is recommended herein that religious practice for economic development or satisfaction of sense desires should be avoided. So what Kapila Dev is saying, that don't do certain religious activity or a pious activity to get some punya karma, pious karma, or, so that you can enjoy more. So don't do that. Avoid to do those kind of rituals. Religious practices should be executed only to gain freedom from the clutches of material nature. So the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they have bound us in their grip. Because this whole material manifestation is happening with the false ego and these three modes of material nature. As we read, that false ego plus goodness gave the mind and the demigods who control the senses. Then false ego with passion. Then what we got was intelligence and the senses. Then false ego with ignorance came sound. From sound came ether, then came touch, air, water, fire, earth, the sense objects, smell, taste, all this. So we can see, if we break it down, it's false ego with these three modes of material nature. So these three modes of material nature are there everywhere. And so we are so bewildered. We don't know how to come out of it. But everything we are seeing in the material world is just a combination of false ego with the three modes of material nature. Now so we should act in such a way so that we can get free from the modes of nature. Because if we do some pious activity only to get some punya karma, to get some, get some comfortable position so we can enjoy more, then that means, okay, we are still in the mode of goodness. Then, okay, we are going to the mode of goodness. But it will give rise to a lot of desire. It will bring us back down to passion. And then from passion, very easily to come down to ignorance. So that's the reason a religious practice should be to cultivate spiritual knowledge, to engage in devotional service. It is stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam that the topmost religious practice is that by which one can attain to the transcendental devotional service of the Lord without reason or cause. So the highest religious practice is what? Which can help us to engage in pure devotional service without reason or cause. Means transcendental, pure devotional service means acting from the platform of love, coming to our original position of love of God, when we can act on that platform. So anything that can bring us to that platform, that religious principle, that religious practice, we should engage in. Such practice is never hampered by any impediments, and by its performance, one actually becomes satisfied. Here, this is recommended as moksha dharma, religious practice for salvation or transcendence to the clutches of material contamination. Generally, people execute religious practices for economic development or sense gratification, but that is not recommended for one who wants to advance in yoga. If we really want to become a yogi, if we really want to have perfection of yoga, then we should act in such a way that is going to revive our love of God. And so that begins by hearing and chanting, remembering, worshipping the Lord. The next important phrase is Mithya Medhyadanam, which means that one should eat very frugally. It is recommended in the Vedic literatures that a yogi eat only half of what he desires according to his hunger. If one is so hungry that he could devour 1 pound of foodstuffs, then instead of eating 1 pound, he should consume only half a pound and supplement this with 4 ounces of water. 1/4 of the stomach should be left empty for passage of air in the stomach. If one eats in this manner, he will avoid indigestion and disease. The yogis should eat in this way as recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam and all other standard scriptures. So it's recommended, the yogi is advised to eat only half of what his hunger actually is, other half with water and other half leave empty for digestion. So in this way, the yogi can be free from diseases. He can engage more in devotional service. The yogi should live in a secluded place where his yoga practice will not be disturbed. So that is for an Ashtanga yogi, because for an Ashtanga yogi, he has to control, fix his mind on the Lord. So that's why he has to live alone in the forest. So we are trying to practice bhakti yoga. So for us, it is recommended, eat Krishna Prasad. Whatever we feel like eating, first offer to Krishna and then eat. So in that way, just by accepting prasadam, we are also making spiritual progress. Our attachment to this world is being reduced just by eating. And living alone, live in a secluded place means it's not that we go live in a forest. We live wherever we need to, so that in fact we can give Krishna consciousness to others. Somehow the other, give everyone Krishna consciousness, but we can remain secluded by not indulging in unnecessary, undesired talk, unnecessary talk, and focusing more on hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Did anyone want to add anything? So we'll stop here, and we are being recommended that we engage in devotional service rather than engaging in some sort of punya karma and some sort of desiring some material benefit, or that I will get some pious activity and then I can enjoy more in the material world. We have that desire. Let me do this, like this, I will enjoy more. I will have a comfortable position. But means we are still being attached to this material world, and we are creating more and more lives for us in the material
So
world.
it means so it means that every religious practice or ritual what you do, you should think of Krishna and execute it, and not think of I will get fame or I will get money or something like that, right? You
That's
should not
right.
expect anything in return, right?
Should be done for the pleasure of Krishna.
Of Krishna, okay.
Yeah,
Because
done for the pleasure of
yeah,
Krishna.
when you say one should cease performing conventional religious practices, we are doing it every day, like we have been doing this for our lives, knowingly or unknowingly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and but that's no need to do. We don't need to do that, because we may be doing it, to get some fame, as you said, or some comfortable position or something. But what we should actually do is work for the pleasure of Krishna, hearing and chanting, worshipping the deity, associating with the devotees,
Yeah,
engaging in Krishna
it applies
consciousness
for
activity.
your karma as well, right?
I'm
Whatever
sorry?
do you, it applies like same for your karma,
Means?
like you are doing it, but you do it as your duty, right?
Yes. Doing, yes. Whatever duty we are supposed to do, we do it. Why? For the pleasure of Krishna. Somehow or the other, I'm in this position, I have to do it. Okay, I do it. Yeah, I do
But
it.
like all our things, like in our society, it is arranged in a way that we get the result.
Yeah, that's what I was trying
Everything
to
is arranged
think and
in
discuss?
Because we have arranged it that way, no? Because all we want is I should be,
Hello?
I will get the
Every-
result. I want to enjoy the
Yeah.
result.
It has been
That-
passed to our generations, through our generations.
कि अगर ऐसा नहीं करना है
हाँ,
तो ये
हाँ,
भगवान की
हाँ।
पूजा कर लो, आप लक्ष्मी जी की
हाँ।
पूजा करते हो दिवाली पर क्योंकि
Yeah.
आपको वो धन चाहिए. So like everything we have been arranged in a karma kand society where
That's right.
we are performing all our deeds for a future result, or else because we are not doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. We are never taught that. We are
Yes.
taught that he will supply us, he is a supplier. And he supplies, but we are taught that we should pray to him to give him pleasure, to get pleasure out of it, not for any material. We are not taught that. Society is not,
Sorry, your voice is
one
breaking.
only from-
Bhabhi, your voice is cracking.
Yeah, Neha, sorry, your
we
voice
never,
is breaking.
now, is it okay now? We never got to learn about it in our society, but from Krishna, Hare Krishna, we get to learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from Bhagavatam, that's what we are learning. Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we are hearing what Lord Kapila Dev is saying. So that's the reason that, so much gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for clearly giving us the knowledge of the scriptures in a language which we can understand, telling us what we should do, what we should not do. Yeah? So that's the great credit for Srila Prabhupada. But yes, that's what the scriptures say that. And because we are not taught to read the scriptures, and our parents and their parents and their parents also not taught to read the scriptures, but just do it as conventional religious practice. ऐसे ही होता है हमारे family में, ऐसा ही करते हैं. It's a tradition, But most of these traditions, as you rightly said, are based on karma kand only. Yeah. So rather we should base our practices on the scriptures, what the scriptures are telling.
Yeah, nowadays they are कर्म कांड को ही भक्ति बोलते हैं, जो कि
Yeah.
सही बात नहीं है.
Yeah. Yeah. So इसके लिए we need to
Read
understand,
the
we need to
scriptures,
hear.
understand, and
Yeah.
and through bona fide spiritual master, of course.
Yes. Yes. That's why it's so important.
I think our prayer should be that, oh Lord Krishna, please grant me your grace that I have more devotional service. I can engage more service, have love for you. I'll never forget you. I think that should be our prayer.
Jai. Jai.
Right?
Yes. 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 Very good.
I don't want anything, Krishna. I want love
To
for
love you.
Yes.
Yes. Jai. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.